It was just a few short months ago, back in May, actually, where Microsoft, they were getting a lot of heat because of this. They were closing down all these developers. And I think one of the big reasons, not just because it sucks to close down, development studios, but all these acquisitions that they made. And part of these acquisitions and the fights with the government, there was a lot of things where it was like, well, we're not going to be doing any of this restructuring. Everything's going to be fine. People aren't going to be losing their jobs. At least that's the way it seemed, right? Oh, Game Pass prices aren't going to go up. And then after everything's said and done, all these things that they said weren't going to happen started happening. So yeah, people were pissed. But back in May, the news came out that they were closing down Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, and more with these devastating cuts at Bethesda, these restructuring happenings that they had to do. People were upset. Not to crap on any particular studio here, but a lot of people were really pissed about Tango Gameworks. Hi-Fi Rush was an amazing game. I did content on that game on my channel. It was a game I really enjoyed. It was very unique. It was interesting. I really liked it. It was different, from the other games that Tango Gameworks had done. And yeah, it was an enjoyable game. And I remember, and I pulled it up, there's employees at that time, shortly after. This individual, today's my last day at work. This is kind of sad, seeing stuff like this. Today's my last day. The studio will be closed. And I put pizza and stuff like that. Like, that sucked, man. Seeing people, pizza, eat it. Like, people losing their jobs, having to pack up and go, celebrating, the work that they did, which is great, all the history they had. But there is good news now. And I mean, the news originally sucked. It sucked, but there is good news now that I just saw pop up, and it was like, hey, we got to talk about this, because sometimes, yeah, some negative stuff happens, but then there's some positivity at the end. Krafton acquires Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush IP from Xbox, but apparently not The Evil Within, I guess. But I mean, they wanted to move on to stuff like Hi-Fi Rush anyway, so this is interesting. So Microsoft previously announced plans to close Japanese studio back in May, like we just referred to. So this is on GameIndustry.biz. So let's take a look. PUBG publisher Krafton has acquired Tango Gameworks and the Hi-Fi Rush IP from Xbox as part of a strategic agreement. So they had to have seen some value there. And I'm sure a lot of us saw some value with Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush. Like I said, it was a cool game. It's a cool game. The firm says it's working with Xbox to enable a smooth transition so that the Tango team can continue developing the Hi-Fi Rush IP and explore future projects. So Tango Gameworks was one of 4 Bethesda studios that Microsoft planned to shut down back in May. It was formed by Resident Evil creator Shinji Mikami back in 2010, and it was responsible for The Evil Within, The Evil Within 2, Ghostwire Tokyo, before launching Hi-Fi Rush in 2023 to critical acclaim. Like I said, a lot of people enjoyed the game. If you haven't played Hi-Fi Rush, I recommend it. Like, it was cool. So Xbox acquired the studio in 2021 as part of its $7.5 billion purchase of Bethesda parent company ZeniMax. Despite the critical success, Microsoft announced it would be closing Tango Gameworks and part of its efforts to focus on high-impact titles. So I don't know what the numbers of Hi-Fi Rush, like what did Hi-Fi Rush not make money? Was it because it was on Game Pass type of thing? I don't know. It was. I don't know. Like, how does Xbox, Microsoft, their whole plan? How do things work with them? Like, how do they decipher if something's a success? I mean, obviously, if it makes money, but like, if everything goes to Game Pass, I don't know, man. Like, how do they figure these things? Because this is a cool game, dude. Like, they have to give games a chance to be a success, and then to just shut down a company that people enjoyed their games. It's freaking boo-boo, man. It's boo-boo. High impact titles. It also announced closure of Redfall Studio. I didn't like Redfall, but it's still, it doesn't matter. Like, I didn't like Redfall. Some people did, but still, like, just because there was one game I didn't like doesn't mean I want to see a studio get closed. Doesn't even matter if Tango Gameworks, if Hi-Fi Rush, if I thought the game sucked, it's not like I would want to see the studio close. Like, I don't ever wish any negativity on anybody like that, but I'm just saying, like, Redfall, I didn't like that game, but I wouldn't want to see a studio close. But I do understand, like, if a studio, like, just say a studio is just complete bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb, and they're just costing money, they're just bleeding. Like, I get it, but I don't know the history with everybody here that they shut down, but it just seemed like Microsoft was just like, oh well, we got to restructure. But it was like Tango Gameworks, like, come on, man, come on, man. Krafton said that the acquisition will have no impact on the availability of their previous titles and that they will remain available where they are currently. Firm said in a statement, this integration reinforces Krafton's dedication to expanding its global footprint and enhancing its portfolio with innovative and high quality content. The addition of Tango Gameworks represents a strategic alignment with Krafton's mission to push the boundaries of interactive entertainment. So Krafton's a South Korean publisher that's best known for publishing the hit PUBG, Battlegrounds, Terra, and the Callisto Protocol. Some, popular games. So they got some money, they got some power there. I don't know the vibe with Krafton. I've never really looked into them. I know their games. I don't know what people think of them, but if they were able to save this studio, I mean, that is cool. So it says there's no details on the transaction that were shared, so we don't know, money wise what happened here, what was exchanged or what the deal entailed. But it doesn't freaking matter. Doesn't freaking matter. This company that made some cool games has been saved, and they get to continue with their latest cool game, Hi-Fi Rush, and they get to, explore future projects. I think that's a win for them and for everybody who was a fan. Like I said, I don't know anything about Krafton, their culture, their, the vibe, how people look at them. I haven't looked into the company at all. I am familiar with some of their games. But it sucks when these kind of things happen where these studios get shut down and people don't understand why. Like I said, I don't know profitability wise, like how did Hi-Fi Rush do? And if it didn't do well, whose fault was it? Was it Tango Gameworks' fault or was it Microsoft's fault? Like, but sometimes, even with jobs, I'm sure people can relate, you'll have the guy at the top and he screws up, but who's going to take the blame for his screw up? Even if you're the guy below him and you're telling him, hey, like, this isn't going to work, but he is just so adamant about doing it his way instead of like taking your advice or looking at it, from your point of view. He wants to stick to it, and then, he screws up. Who's the one that's going to suffer once it fails, right? It's going to be you, most likely. Like, that guy that's above you, he ain't going to take the heat. That's the kind of shit that happens all the time, man. And I think that's what happened here, with Microsoft and some of these studios. That's just my opinion. But yeah, good news here. Just want to share it with you guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Bye.